So we're getting ready to start here in a moment or two. I want to give Martin a chance to say hello before we start, just to test his mic. Whenever you're ready, Martin, just let me know. If you guys have any questions, of course, just type them into the chat box as we go and make sure we get them all answered. I'm really excited today because Martin and I have gotten to know each other pretty well, and I've been using FX Synergy now for a while, and it works great. It just makes trading so easy, and the type of trades that we're doing with the Spotlight FX Alert service, I think you're all going to find this tool is indispensable. It just makes trading so simple, and you can walk away and just let the trade manager manage the trade for you. And so that's why we're here. I'm going to let Martin show you how it works, what it is, and then you guys can decide if it's something you want to have for yourselves or not, or maybe at least it'll get you thinking about different ways that you can use a more sophisticated trading tool to make trading easier. That's what this is really all about. So while Martin is getting ready with his mic and getting set up, let me what we'll do is I'll show you a trade that we're currently in. It looks like it's almost ready to stop out, actually, and then Martin can talk about that trade and show us how we would set that up with FX Synergy, along with some other stuff, because it could do a lot more than what I'm using it for. So Martin, I'm not sure if you're ready yet, but if you want to start talking. I don't hear you if you're talking. I see you're talking on your mic, but I am not hearing you come through on my headset. Is anyone else here, Martin?
Testing. Can you hear me?
Ah, there you go. Hear you now. Say hello to everyone.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
I hear you.
Right. I did nothing, so that was interesting.
Yeah, maybe it's just there's a delay. Martin is on the other side of the world. Or I'm on the other side of the world, depending on how you look at it. So let me just show you really quickly what's going on here. We were short on the euro yen as of this date. The trade set up on the 20th of August. It triggered in a few days later, came down, it hit target 1. Depending on your broker, it might have missed by a fraction of a pip, but you really got to be aggressive and take profit at that point. The stop moves down. It's moved down a little bit further, and it looks like it's getting ready to stop out at 117.29. So I would put it at 29 or 31, even working around the key level there. It's up to 27. So it's literally a pip or two away from stopping out. So I don't need to worry about it because I have this trade placed in FX Synergy. It's going to go ahead and execute the trade for me. I'll be flat, and that'll be that. I don't have to think about it. I've grown to depend on how well it works, how dependable it is. And so what I thought would be good is I'll pass the mic over to Martin and let him just kind of give you guys a rundown of what FX Synergy is all about, and then maybe we can go back and look at some of these trades and how we would use FX Synergy to set them up. And whether you're using, whether you're in the Spotlight Options Alerts or you're just trading Forex on your own, doesn't matter to me. I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of this amazing tool that I wish I would have discovered much sooner. So Martin, I'm going to stop talking now and hand the mic over to you. So everyone, please give Martin a big warm welcome. And I'm going to mute my mic, so go for it, Martin. It's all yours.
All right, Troy, thank you very much. And I hope you can still hear me. Let me start by sharing my screen here. See how that goes. It's supposed to share the whole thing, which hopefully it is. Yeah, looks like it is. Now you should be seeing my screen. Right, so let me start it up. So FX Energy is a Windows application. It's not an EA or an indicator or something you can load into MC4. It's an actual application that runs side by side with MC4. And that's why it's able to do a lot more than just your average EA can do.
Hey, Martin, sorry to interrupt. You're a bit soft and in the distant. I don't know if you could pump up your gain or talk more directly into your mic, but it's strained to hear what you're saying.
All right, so let me see if I can change the microphone. Maybe it's using the wrong one. No, it is using the right one.
Pump up your gain or get the mic closer to your mouth.
Well, this is right in front of my mouth. I have a microphone stand for it, so I'm actually I can't get closer to it, otherwise I'll eat it. So
Maybe
let
you
me
can pump up your gain if you can.
essentially turn them all the way, I think. Let me see if I can do this. How about now?
Much better.
All right. Was that enough?
Yeah, that's great. We can hear you good now. Thanks.
All right, cool. All right. So the first thing it asked me for is which MC4 terminal do I want to use. So I'm just going to select the one that I've set up for this. And it's going to ask me what symbols I want to trade, and then I can change at any time later. I'm just going to click on Next. And now it's telling me to load a template in MC4. So I'm just going to start up my MC4. And I am just going to go to, just close down these charts so we can start fresh. I'm just going to open up a new Euro chart and right click on it, and then choose Template, and then choose FX Synergy. There we go. And that's really all there is to it. Just load up the template on a forex chart, and then the account is connected. So when I go into Synergy now, we have quotes coming in, and everything is actually set up for trading. So there's a little ground rules here. So in FX Synergy, the top of the screen is where we can execute the trades. And if we have multiple accounts, we'll actually get a tab per account. So we can use the tabs to select which account that we're trading on. At the bottom here, we have some tabs. We have our market orders, pending orders, the trade history, a list of our accounts, and some different stats. Events is where it logs everything that's going on. And under alerts, we have news alerts. So it's importing every few hours automatically from Forex Factory, and it alerts you by default 15 minutes before the actual announcement. And it also converts the actual announcement time to your local time, so that way you'll never be surprised by a news announcement, because it'll actually let you know in advance that, hey, non-farm payroll is coming up, or whatever the case may be. So this works really well with multiple screens, but if you have a single screen, or if you want to trade directly off the charts, you can go into MC4 and open up the chart, and then you can, let me just get rid of the grid, you can go down here. So when you specify the path to MC4, Synergy installs a few tools for you in MC4, and one of them is the trade panel. So just drag that on there and hit OK, and now we have the same options that we have in here for opening trades. We have the same options here directly on the chart. So if you only have a single screen, or if you prefer doing it directly on the chart, just use the trade panel. All right. So let me go back into Synergy. So to open a trade, I'm just going to hit Buy, and here's the trade. So when we open trades in Synergy, we can do it in two different ways. We can do it risk-based, where Synergy will look at what is the actual account size, and what is the pip value of the symbol, what is the size of the stop, and so on. And then it'll actually calculate the exact lot size to use that risk. And if I mouse over risk, it's also going to tell me what that calculation equals. So you can see here now we have a 30 pip stop, and that was 0.02 lots. If I go to 20 pip stop, now it goes to 0.03 lots. So as we change the stop, it'll recalculate the risk. So whenever I hit buy or sell, it's going to do the risk calculation live based on whatever the parameters are, and it'll come out with the right value every single time. So that's one way to do it. You can also do lot-based if you want to do that. And then below here, we can fine-tune the values. So if I want to use 0.5, maybe I want to use 0.6, I can fine-tune the values here. And by the way, everything that we see here can be customized. So you can add all the symbols that you want. You can use different values here. These are just kind of the defaults. But the main idea is that you can set the stop in pips, and the same with the target, and you can choose between risk or lot size when you open the trades. And the same happens on the charts, where you have the stop in pips, the target in pips, and then you have a risk percentage or a lot size. And I'll get back to the trade panel here in a few minutes. So once we have the trades open, we can do a couple of really cool things. Number one is it shows us how many pips is the market from the stop. So that way we always know how soon are we going to get stopped out. And the same thing with the target, how far is the market from the target. And so when it gets to 10 pips or less, it'll actually highlight the stop or the target, whichever the case may be, to alert us that, hey, this trade is getting close to either the stop or the target. It also calculates the risk for us, and right now it's actually in the account currency. So the 0.5% risk actually equals about $47 on this demo account, which is 0.02 lots. When we have the trades open, we can very quickly close the trades. So to close the whole thing, just click on the X out here. We can close half, 1/3, or a quarter. And that's just one click, and it'll do that for us. Obviously, we can't close a quarter of 0.02, but you'll get the idea. And then if we want to close something more specific that doesn't match this, just click this button here with the question mark, and now we can choose to close an exact lot size or percentage. So if you want to close, I don't know, 18%, you can do that, right? And you can also move the stop. E is for entry, and then we have entry plus 2, 5, or 10 pips. So if you have a trade in profit and you want to move the stop like really fast, just click on E or 2, whatever you want to do. So a very fast way to open trades and also to close them or secure them. Now the next thing is to actually setting up the trade management, so that once you've opened the trade, then you also need to tell Synergy, well, how do we want to manage this trade? And that's done using these 4 main features here. And I'm going to cover 3 of them today. So one of them is trailing stop or move stop, and the other one is partial close. Because one of the things that I talked to Troy about a while back when we first talked about Synergy was the fact that he's opening multiple trades in order to get out at different price points, which is fine. But the only thing is with that is that you need to open up multiple trades, which takes quite a bit of time because you're basically doing the same thing 4 times with different lot sizes. So in Synergy, we can do partial close. And so we can basically open up one position or one trade with the full lot size for the whole thing. And then under partial, we can just click under partial for any trade. And first we can tell Synergy, well, how much do you want to close? So let's say I want to close 25%. Then it's going to ask us, well, when do you want to close it? So we have 2 options. One is pips. So let's say I just put in 15 pips. That means that when this trade is in profit by 15 pips, then which is when this number here goes to 15, then Synergy will close 25% of whatever the lot size is. We can also change the pips to price. So if we want to do that at a specific price, we can just put in whatever the price point is, and Synergy will close the 25% when the market reaches that price. And we can do up to 5 different levels here. So with a single trade, you can define 5 levels, and really the take profit on the trade is kind of the sixth level. So really you can scale out 6 times by opening a single trade. So you just put in the percentage, and then either the pip count or the precise price point where you want the partial close to happen. The other thing is the trailing stop, which we have right here. And the first thing we can, or the move stop, we can do both. The first thing is how much in profit do you want the trade to be in before moving the stop? And let's just say 25 pips. And when the order is in profit by 25 pips, if I don't do anything else, it'll move the stop to entry, because right now pips is an offset of entry. So if I put in 1 pip, it'll basically secure the secure profit by 1 pip. So that's entry plus 1 pip. So at 25 pips profit, move the stop to entry plus 1 pip, or 2 pips, or whatever we want to do. Now, if I check off trail, that means that it'll actually trail the stop this number of pips behind the market, so that it actually reverses it, right? So, and let's just say at 15 pips, I want to trail, well, let's say 10 pips behind the market. We can also do up to 5 levels here, so we can have different variable trails. So in the beginning, we can have a more wide trail, and then at the end, we can have a more narrow trail, whatever we want to do. And we can also set a stepping, because by default, it'll move the stop for every single pip. It goes into profit, and we can change that to, say, 5. So that way, it'll move the stop at 15 pips profit, at 20 pips profit, and so forth. So it can be set up in quite a few different ways. And one of the most commonly used one is that the first level doesn't move, doesn't trail, it just moves the stop. So say at 15 pips, just move the stop to entry plus 1 to secure the trade, and then maybe at, say, 25 pips profit, that's when we start trailing. Maybe that's going to be, I don't know, 15 pips behind the market. So this is a very classical setup. But you can, again, you can do up to 5 different levels, and you can set this up in any way you like. And so once it's set up, it's showing you here 0/2. That means that we have 2 levels of trail set up, but none of them have been hit yet. So when it goes to the first one, that'll be 15 pips plus, then it'll say 1/2. And the same thing with the partial close. Let me just set up one here, 50% at, let's say, 25 pips profit. When I go out, now we have 0/1, that is, we have 1 level of partial close, and we haven't reached any of it yet. So if we had 2 levels and one of them got hit, it would say 1/2. That is, we've activated 1 partial close, but we still have 1 left out of the 2. All right. A few other things. I should probably have started by saying that Synergy can do a lot of things, and I don't think there's anyone using Synergy right now that's using every single feature, because it caters to many different styles of trading, many different types of traders. But the main thing is that it can do a lot of things that applies to pretty much any trader. So regardless of how you trade and what you do, you can use different features to help you in your trading. And then also, as you grow as a trader, you may want to use other features. Maybe you start using different strategies. And so it can really cover all the bases, almost regardless of how you trade and how experienced you are. So once we have these trades open, let's say that I wanted to reverse one of the trades. So we have this Euro USD trade here. Let's say I wanted to reverse it right now, because maybe it's getting close to the stop, whatever the case may be. I just want to go the other direction right now. I can just right-click on the trade, then choose reverse, and now I can choose the lot size that I want to reverse with. So I can just say I just want to reverse it with the current lot size, or I can use whatever the preset is, and I'll get back to this. So I'll just choose order, and Synergy will then close the order and open up a new order on the same symbol in the opposite direction. So what it does is it looks at the stop loss in pips and also the target in pips. And then it actually opens up the new trade with the same stop in pips and the same target in pips. So if the stop was, say, 20 pips and the target was 50 pips, then that's what you would get on the reverse trade without having to do anything. And obviously, you can always edit these after the fact. You can just click on the stop price and change them if you want to, and Synergy will apply those changes. And the same with the target. You can always modify those anytime you like. So if you go into MC4 for just a second, I want to show you the trade panel. So once we have the trade panel on, I'm just going to close out these trades so we can see the chart. Here we go. So when we have the trade panel on the chart, we can do the exact same thing directly on the chart in MC4. So if I just click on buy here, that'll give me a trade right there. And if I want to close it, the panel adds an X on the order line, and this also applies to pending orders. So to get rid of it, just click on the X and the order is gone. Another thing that the panel can do that the other panel can't do is that because this runs on the chart, it actually integrates with MC4. So if I want to visually set the stop, I can just click on the SL button here. Now I can drag the lines to wherever I want the stop to be. And the same with the target. So normally it'll use the pips here, but if I show the line will override whatever is in the boxes up here. So now if I hit buy, it gives me a trade with the stop here and the target here. So a very quick way of visually opening a trade if you want to do that. We have the same controls here, where we can close all the trades, or half of them, or a quarter, and move the stop to entry and so forth. So these buttons are the same that we have in here. Only difference is that in here they apply to all the trades on that symbol. So right now I'm on Euro USD. So if I choose to close, it closes all the Euro USD trades, but it doesn't close the dollar Swiss trade. And if I had pending orders, say I had some limit orders and I clicked on the change the order type to limit, if I click on the X then, it'll delete all the limit orders in the account. So it's a very quick way of very quickly closing trades or managing trades on that symbol without touching anything else. So I know that you guys are trading using different price points. So setting up a trading stop using pips may not be what you want to do. And the same thing goes for the partial close, where you have exact price points where you want this to happen. And so we actually have a special tool inside of FX Energy that will allow you to do this very, very quickly. So if I right-click on just one of the symbols here, and I choose Prep Tool, it'll give me a little window. And here I can actually set up the whole thing on a single screen. So the idea with this window is that it floats on top of all the other windows. So I can take this into MC4 or TradeStation or wherever I have my charts. And I can place up to 3 orders at the same time. But the idea with this tool is that I can specify the price for everything. So we have the entry price, we have the lot size, or I can change it to risk and use the risk percentage. I can set the order type. I have the stop in pips, the target in pips, and then I can tell it when do I want the first partial close to take place. So how many percent do you want to close? Say I want to close 50%, just put in 50 there and put in the actual price of where you want the partial close to happen. And also partial close number 2, what price point and how much do you want to close on that partial close. And finally we have the trailing stop or move stop. If I don't check off the box here, it's a move stop, which it also tells you here. So now we're trailing, and now it's a move stop. Just put in the price, when do you want it to move, and the other price, where do you want to move to. And you can do this twice if you want to. Where do you want it to move, or when do you want it to move, then where do you want it to move to. And if you want to trail, it's very simple. When do you want to start trailing, and how many pips do you want to trail. And you can also, if you're placing multiple orders, you can click OCO here, and then Synergy will place these orders in a group, so that if one order is hit, the other ones are canceled. So this is a very, very special way of opening trades if you need to do everything by price, which with what Troy is doing, everything is by price. So you can use this tool to very quickly put in the different price points for the trade, and then Synergy will open it up for you, and you're pretty much done because everything is already in there. And so if you open up pending orders, let me just do a few pending orders to show you. I'm just going to open up, and maybe this one here. Okay, so now we've got 2 pending orders in the account. So to set up OCO manually, I can just check off all the trades, or I can do them manually as well. Then just click on group, and now we have an order group with those trades. I can then right click on the group, choose OCO, and then choose Enable. So now we have OCO set up on this group, which means that whichever trade is activated first, Synergy will cancel the other one. And I can add more trades to this group as well. So whichever trade is hit first, or activated first, Synergy will immediately cancel all the other trades. And you can do the same thing with the market orders. So let me just open up a few of them here. So let's say we have a bunch of trades going. You can group them any way you like. Just check them off and click on Group. And then when they are grouped, it shows you the combined lot size, the combined risk, the actual combined pips, and also profit of all these trades. Now when you have them in a group, you can even right-click on the group and choose break even, and you can say, well, when the profit hits $200 or 25 pips or whatever the case may be, let's just say 25 pips. So when the combined pips of all these trades, whether it's 2 trades or 25 trades, when the combined pips reaches 25 pips, Synergy will close all the trades in that group. And you can also do the same based on the profit. So when the combined profit reaches a certain amount, Synergy will close all the trades in the group. And this is just probably about 5 or 10% of what the software can do. But this is kind of the quick overview of some of the things that you can do with the software. So let me see if we have, I think I've covered most of the things that we wanted to cover. So let me take some questions and see if you have any questions.
Martin, what I'd like to do is we could look at a trade and show them how easy it is to set it up. I noticed that with the prep tool, for example, and I haven't been using the prep tool to its fullest potential, but you could literally set up 3 positions mostly where you have your target, and then you have a couple other targets that you could do a partial, and then you could even trail.
Yes.
So maybe you can set it all up with the prep tool, because usually we have 4 exit points is how we've been doing it.
Sure.
So I thought maybe I sent you a screenshot in Skype, and what I can do is show the trade that is literally on the verge of stopping out but hasn't yet, and you've got a screenshot of it, and we can maybe set it up. So for example, when I put out a trade, let me move some of these horizontal lines. I would put out an entry at 117.38, and then 3 targets where we take 25% off. And maybe you could explain how that works, how you have to adjust the percentage based on the remaining positions. And then, of course, the trailer. So when it gets almost to target 1, we have a move the stop to break even plus 1 pip, for example. And I think you could set all that up with the prep tool, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe we can walk through that, set that up, and you could show them how easy it is with the euro yen. Do you have a euro yen? I could always look at a different example if you.
No, that's fine. I'm just gonna add it. So there was one thing I didn't show you before. I wanted to do this after, but when I go into settings, we use a thing called presets, and that really defines the different symbols that we trade on the account, and also the different values that we have, and also the symbols. I'm just going to add euro yen. Yep. There we go. So now I can right click on euro yen and just use prep tool. Now we have that one right there. So let me just move this screenshot over so I can see. Okay, so I'm assuming that the values in the boxes are the ones that we would use for the trade.
Yeah, you see right here. Well, I'm not showing my screen. You were showing your screen. So if you want to pull up, you could just pull that screenshot from Skype and pop it right on top of what you're doing, and you'll be able to see.
Right, but I'm on a different machine.
Oh,
so let me.
let me. I could share my screen for. Well, we can't both share it at the same time, so.
Let's see if I can move it over somehow. Give me 1 second.
You can email it to you, or you can email it to yourself and then reopen it on that machine if you want.
Right. It's just that this machine is super locked down, so it's not a lot of stuff I can do. Let me try. Wait, let me
Do you have? Are you able to take a screenshot from that machine?
Oh yeah, that's an awesome idea.
Okay, let me grab the screen. I'll show it. You could take a screenshot and then you could show it. All right, hold on. I'm going to take over for a sec.
I think I can.
Technology at its best.
I think that's gonna work. I just did I have a shared screen here, or a shared folder. I'm just gonna see if it's gonna work. Yeah, there we go. Here it is.
So Martin, I just I'm showing the trade now. If you want to just take a screenshot of that, then
No,
you
I have it now.
you have it now. Okay. All right. Let me
Yeah.
give it back to you then. Very good.
Let's see.
All right, go ahead and start your screen sharing.
Works. Right.
Sure that
So here's the
that's
screenshot, and here's the prep tool. So we got.
you can
I'm gonna
pull
do
you
risk based.
Martin. So yeah, we do 2% risk, for example, is what I usually advise, and you could pull that floating window right over next to the data window on the right, so it's like really easy to see. This is how I typically do it. Then you got the whole trade right there in purple.
So the whole idea with this window is that you can drag it over to wherever the values are, and it's very, very simple to just put it in.
Yeah, those purple numbers
So
down below there.
So you got to put it down here, right?
Yeah, so you see the short entry is 117.38.
1738. Stop.
119. I would put 119.41 because I just always get off the dimes. And then
Right.
for the take profit, now here's the thing, since we're going to be scaling out at target 1 and target 2, I'm assuming target 3 is where you would put your take profit, correct?
Yes.
Or actually what I would do is I would use the partial in the pending orders section. Like I would put in I wouldn't even put my profit in right there. I would just put my exit points in the partial where I could set up target 1, target 2, target 3, and then leave 25% to trail. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay. So
That's how I've been
sure.
doing it.
Okay. So we don't want to have a target for the whole thing, right?
And it's a sell stop. Well, in this case, it's a sell limit because it's above the order. But when it's set up, it was a sell stop.
Okay.
Now it's a sell limit because the price is below the entry. So you have to make sure it won't do a sell stop now because the market is below the entry since this is an older trade. But normally you would set that to sell stop because the market has to push lower to hit the entry. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. So Synergy looks at the entry versus where the market is at right now, so you can't set up things the wrong way.
Right, because the market is now below the trade's already progressed.
Right.
But if it were being set up for the first time, it would be sell stop.
Yes. So we got
so notice it. So yeah, Martin, explain what you're doing here with these two take profits.
So we got target 1, and that'll be the partial close 1. So I'm just putting in the price there. And then partial close 2, that's target 2. That's 115 flat. And then how much do you want to close to 25 again?
Well, the thing is, remember what you said? Once 25 comes off, now you have to rethink of the fractions in order to take another 25 of the original position. It's actually going to be 33%, right?
Yes. So the way Synergy does this is it always looks at, and this is actually to make it easier for you, because Synergy always looks at what is the current lot size of the trade, whatever is actually in play right now, and that is what it does the calculation on. So 25% first, that'll leave us with 75, and then if you want to close another 25%, then that'll be actually be 33%, because 33% of what remains is going to be 25% of the whole thing.
Right.
And then finally, we can set up trail or move stop. So we have that. Where do we have that in here?
Yeah, you'd have to look at the chart itself. The itty-bitty little pinprick of a dot before target 1 is when the price reaches that point, then we're going to move our stop to break even. So I usually put a horizontal line over the top, and then I just read the number off of the horizontal line. So you can just make something up. Just call it 116.03.
All right. So 116.03.
Yeah, that was 117. But
oh, it was 116.03.
There you go. And lock in your one pip.
Huh?
Just one break even plus 1 pip.
Okay, so that'll be 117.
Oh, you have to put the price in.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have an extra 0 in there, so be careful of that. There you go.
There we go.
So basically most of this trade is set up, but not completely because there's still a target 3. So what I would do next is commit, right? Place the trade.
Is it?
And then I would open up the panel, and go to partial, like you showed me, right? And I would set up the third target. And that's going to be 50%, right? Because you've already taken off 25 and 25. You want to take off a 25 of the original position, which is 50% of the remaining position. So you have to think that through. So that's going to be target 3, which is 114.14. So if we're lucky enough for it to go down and hit target 1, target 2, and target 3, Synergy will then exit 25% of the original position at each of those 3 targets. And then there's going to be 25% remaining, and then we just move the trail once a day manually. So we can just then go to where it says stop loss over on the left and just type in the new value, because remember, we're going to be trailing our signal line, and the signal line will sometimes push the stop dramatically, sometimes it won't push the stop at all, it might push it gradually. So every day I'll get the closing price of our trailing stop, and then I'll type it in over on the left under stop loss and just change it day by day. Now we could have it automated, but Synergy is not programmed to trail our signal line. So you can't really automate trailing the signal line. You'd have to automate trailing a different method, which is fine. It's really a matter of style. You could certainly trail by X amount of pips or whatever if you want to. Like if you're going to be away from your computer, maybe you're going camping for the weekend or whatever, you can't trail the signal line. Maybe you just trail by a certain amount of pips, and then when you come back on Monday, you can readjust and put the trailer back to where the system says manually. So over there on the left, Martin, where it says SL, that's where I'm typically changing my trailing stop each day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so you would just go in here and put in the new price.
Yeah, that's how I've been doing it.
Sure, that works too. So yeah, so the prep tool only has the 2 levels, and let's talk to try about us adding a 3rd level, because that way you don't need to go in here and add the 3rd level manually. So
awesome.
We're going to look into adding a 3rd level here, because that way you can do everything on a single screen.
Yeah, I'd even say a fourth too, because I have other strategies that actually have 4 targets. Might as well.
Oh, that's a, might as well have 4 in there, or at least the settings so that we can decide how many we need. Sure. So this was this was some of the main features that Troy and I talked about that you definitely want to see. We have a few other ones that I just want to show you, but I just want to answer some of the questions first. So Steven is asking if it works on the MC4 tester. The answer is no, it doesn't, because the tester works in a very different way. We are coming out with a new version soon that allows you to do all of this in the tester as well. But it's a bit more complicated because the tester works in a very different way than the live market. So that's coming, but the current version does not work with the tester, unfortunately. Also, the licensing is per machine. If you have 2 machines, then you will need to have a license per machine if you want to run it at the same time. It's totally fine to switch around if you have your desktop and your laptop and you move it around. That'll work fine, but if you want to run it multiple times on different machines, you need to have a license per machine.
Martin, let
Now,
me clarify so that I make sure I understand. So if I have FX Synergy on my desktop and my laptop, I could turn my desktop off and then it'll work on the laptop. Or I can turn the laptop off and then it'll work on the desktop. It just won't work on both of them simultaneously when they're on, correct?
yeah, yes. So what happens is if you have it running on your desktop and you don't close it down and you open it up on your laptop after a while, the one on your desktop is going to disappear automatically. So you can't run a single license on multiple machines at the same time. So, but if you shut it down and then open it up on another machine, that's totally fine as well.
Okay, good.
Now, if you have a stable computer and a stable power and a stable internet connection, it's totally fine to run this wherever your machine is at. However, if you have issues with power or connectivity, or if you're running Synergy on a laptop through Wi-Fi or whatever the case may be, that isn't a fixed location where everything just works, you may want to consider using a VPS. And you can get those pretty inexpensively. Synergy doesn't use a whole lot of resources. It uses very little, actually. And the same with MC4, unless you have a ton of charts with a ton of indicators. So you can easily get away with a 2-core, 2-gig VPS, which is $20 a month or even less. So it doesn't cost a whole lot to have it running, but it's very important that if you want Synergy to manage your trades 24/7 and you don't have a machine where you can have it running, or where you know it's going to be running and connected to the internet, then you really want to use a VPS. But again, if you have a desktop or even a laptop where you know that it's going to be connected and everything is fine, there's going to be connectivity and power and everything else, then there's no need for a VPS. Now, it does remember all the settings, so if you shut it down and it comes and you start it up again, then everything is fine. It's going to remember all the settings. So you don't lose the settings unless the machine crashes. Then you'll lose settings and probably some other things too. But generally, it remembers all the settings. So if you shut it down, then all the different settings are saved, and that goes for everything else as well. Right. So see. So yeah. So we
Hey, Martin, maybe talk about pricing.
Huh?
Maybe talk about pricing. I'm going to put some links in the chat box for if anyone is interested in signing up. You could explain how the monthly subscription and the annual subscription work.
Sure. Okay. So there's 2 different licenses. One is a monthly and the other is a yearly. So the monthly pricing is $37 and the yearly is $370, which is basically 2 months off. The annual is not available on our website yet. It will be here in the future, but right now it is exclusively for Troy's members. The monthly is also a special deal right now because normally it's $37 a month. But if you sign up through Choice Link, you actually get the first month for free. Basically, there's 2 months 2 months at 50% off. So you only pay $37 for 2 months. Which you also won't see anywhere else.
Yeah, so believe me, this thing is indispensable, and one of the things that impressed me the most when I started speaking with Martin early on was the fact that he has members that have been on FX Synergy for years. He has one of the lowest quitting rate of any company or anybody I've ever dealt with in this business over the last 15 years. Is like, once you have this thing, you hang on to it for dear life. You're never going to let it go. So that was a big testimony as to the quality of the software and how well it works. Because when people stay on it and you can't pry it away from them, that's usually a good testimonial, wouldn't you say? So yeah, it's a small cost. Basically, less than a cup of coffee a day. It's what, $1 a day, whatever, give or take. I know that I could never be without it now that I've started using it. So there you guys go. Think about it. There's no hurry. You could get it any time. But if you really want to start managing these trades with amazing flexibility, it finally makes MT4 a far more powerful and useful trading tool. And, this type of functionality maybe you'd get with NinjaTrader, but then you got the NinjaTrader issues and the license fees. That's $1,000 just for that. Only works with one broker. And then you got all the other issues that NinjaTrader has sometimes. But if you have NinjaTrader, maybe you don't need this. But, if you just want to trade with MT4 and, you're tired of placing multiple trades at the same time and all the, the hassles that it is to, you have to put on 4 trades so you could exit at each target, for example. FX Synergy is worth its weight in gold. Plus, Martin's only shown us like 10% of its capabilities, which I'm looking forward to learning more and more of what it can do, because then that could certainly open up new trading ideas and different ways to prosper. Like, you could trail more than one way. Like, what impressed me were the different steps in trailing, where you could have a loose trailer to start and then tighten it up as you take advantage of the trade gods if the markets actually spike through a price. I mean, if you're not watching your charts, you can miss those opportunities, but you can literally set FX Synergy up to grab those opportunities if they happen. It could be in the middle of the night when you're sleeping. So there's a lot you can do with this. It's really impressive. JP asking about the auto renew. Yeah, it'll just be tied to your credit card. Does it work with PayPal? Martin, you got it set up with PayPal as well?
It does. It does.
Yes. Okay, so PayPal or credit card, it just auto renews. And of course you can quit anytime. But the monthly is a really great rate, but the annual is even less. So you could try it 2 for 1. You can pay like 30, what do you say it was a month? 30-something bucks?
So it's 37 a month, and with your special deal, the first month is free.
Yeah, so you get 2 months for 37 bucks. You can give it a good 60-day test drive, see how you love it, and I'm sure you'll never give it up once you do that. In fact, most people are going to be contacting me saying, hey, can I get the annual? This is great. But no hard sell here. Just wanted you guys to see what's available to you, give you a chance to meet Martin, who developed this amazing piece of software, and have your chance to ask any questions that you have while he's here on the line. This is recorded. I'll make the recording available, probably later today or early tomorrow. But take advantage of Martin being here, and whatever questions pop in your mind, this is the chance to ask. So don't feel shy. No question is a bad question except the one you don't ask. Oh, stealth mode. That's pretty cool, actually. Why don't you explain that, Martin?
Sure. Yeah, just to give you a little background, so we started developing this about 10 years ago because we had some, as you probably found, there's, MC4 is a great platform. There's a ton of things that you can't do or that are super cumbersome to do. And we have clients, traders, that have been with us for over 8 years. They're still using it. And occasionally when their credit card expires or whatever the case may be and they can't renew, or the auto renew doesn't work because there's an issue with their card, they will put in support tickets to our support team with all caps in the title, help, because they can't trade without it. Because it's so much simpler to do everything than it is in MC4. And also a ton of things that you just can't do in MC4. So it's very rare that someone cancels their subscription. Usually that happens if they actually stop trading. But anyways, once you use it and you see the power of it, you'll probably want to continue using it. So let me show you a few other things, because what I've shown you now is just a very brief overview of just some of the things it can do. It can do a whole lot more. And yes, there are some of the things, a few of the things that Ninja can do, but there's a lot of things in here that Ninja can't do. I've worked with Ninja as well. I hate it for many different reasons. As a developer, it sucks. But this is about Synergy, so let's continue with that. So Synergy has a number of features, and one of them is called Stealth Mode. And Stealth Mode allows you to hide as much as possible from the broker. So let me get rid of this trade here. So Stealth Mode, if I place a market order and I click off the S, the Stealth Mode box here, click on Buy, now we have a trade, and you'll notice that the stop and target is kind of grayed out. And if you go into MC4 and see, on the trade, we have a trade, but there's no stop and no target. So the broker has no idea where those are at because they aren't there. But again, in Synergy, Synergy knows where they are because they're right there. And everything else works. Trade, stop, partial close, it's all going to work fine. So what happens is Synergy is monitoring this, and whenever the market hits either the stop price or target price, Synergy will close the trade. And in most cases, you'll be closed out pretty much at the price you have in here. Now, it may vary by half a pip or a pip, but usually it's going to be pretty close, if not exactly the price that you have here. If the market is flying, then maybe it'll be off by a pip or two. That can happen, but in most cases, it's going to be pretty spot on. And so the cool thing here is that the broker has no idea what you're doing. When we go with a pending order, it becomes even more interesting. This is really powerful. So if I change it to, say, I want to do a limit order, I'm just going to place it 20 pips from the market, and I'm going to use Stealth and Buy. Now we have a pending order, but if you go in MT4, there is no pending order. So what's going on here? Well, Synergy has all the information about the trade, all of it, and the broker has none. So what happens is, again, Synergy is monitoring the markets, and as soon as the price hits, whatever the entry price is, whatever the activation price is, Synergy will place a market order and try and get in at this exact price. And again, there may be half a pip difference or whatever the case may be, but in most cases, almost all the time, it'll be pretty much spot on to the price that you have here. Give or take 1 pip, but that's pretty much about it. So it's going to get in right around this price, and the broker has no idea that the order is in here waiting. And then when the order is activated, you actually have two options. By default, it'll look like this, where the broker will see the entry, obviously, because otherwise the trade wouldn't be in the account. But the stop and target are still hidden. So the pending orders, they don't even see, and once they're activated, then there is a market order, obviously, but again, the stop and target is hidden. And there's a setting in Synergy to allow you to actually enable the stop and target to be seen on the market orders. And the reason for that is if you have stealth orders running, market orders running, and your computer goes down, you lose power, lose internet, whatever the case may be, then Synergy isn't running anymore, or at least it can't control the trade. And so at that point, you basically have a trade in your account with no stop, which is not a good idea. And that's when you want to use a VPS to make sure that it's on all the time. So really there's two different ways of doing it. One is to use a VPS, or if your computer runs all the time, you have no issues with power, no issues with internet, then run on your machine, that's totally fine. But you may want to enable that Synergy actually puts the stop and target on the market orders, because that way you're always secured. But the cool thing is that with the pending orders, no one sees them except you. So you can have a ton of pending orders with OCO and everything else, and no one sees them but you, and when it's time, Synergy will place them in the market with the broker. So different ways of using it, but stealth mode is pretty hardcore and a pretty cool way of hiding from the broker what you're doing, and especially with you guys using pending order as well. With this, they don't know. And also, another thing I want to add is that when you have 4 trades or 5 trades or however many trades you have, it's pretty clear to the broker that you're scaling out, right? If you have 4 positions with the same entry and different targets or whatever the case may be, it's pretty obvious that you're scaling out. With Synergy, when you place a single trade, all they see is one trade. If you have any partial close in here, the broker doesn't see that, so they have no idea what the strategy is. All they see is a single position with whatever the stop and target is. They don't know if there's a partial close because they don't see that. The partial close only exists in FX Synergy, and the same thing with the trailing stop. They don't see that either. So a very good way of showing, or at least hiding some of what you're doing, is to use Synergy to place a single trade and then have Synergy do the partial close. That way they have no idea what you're doing, because then they can't see when the partial close actually happens. They'll only see it as it happens, and at that point it's going to be too late. So that was the that was stealth mode. Should I show the alert lines, Troy?
What's that?
The alert lines and the price alerts.
Oh yeah, no, you haven't shown that. That's a pretty cool feature too. Just a word about stealth mode. Well, first of all, John C. is asking if it works if your computer is sleeping. Does Synergy work if the computer is sleeping?
No. The problem with sleep mode or hibernation or whatever it's called is that nothing is running. The actual software isn't running. The machine is woken up for different things, but if it's sleeping, the software isn't actually running, so it can't really do anything.
So don't put your machine to sleep, and maybe a VPS is the answer for you.
Yeah.
Another VPS. Yeah, go ahead.
Another thing I want to add is that if you're trading off of a laptop at different locations, you need a VPS, because if you're connected through Wi-Fi and you're depending on random Wi-Fi or at least different Wi-Fi of different locations, whenever you take your laptop out of wherever the location is at and goes to a different place, well, do you know that it's going to be connected while you're on the go? Maybe, maybe not. So it's not a very good idea to do trading that way with having trade management running on your laptop while you're moving around, because you don't know what's going to happen with a wireless connection. So if you do that, definitely use the VPS.
Martin, with the VPS, how do you set that up? I mean, I'm a little foggy as to how you would. I mean, if I log into my VPS, it's still. How does MT4 and Synergy actually connect to the VPS?
So when you have a VPS, it's basically a virtual desktop that runs on a server somewhere. And so when you connect to the VPS, you basically see the desktop of the VPS. So it's really like your own desktop. It's running somewhere else. And you can install Synergy and MT4 on the VPS just like you would on any other computer. You would just open the browser on the VPS, download MT4, download Synergy, and then set it up in the exact same way as you would on your regular machine. Only difference being that if something happens to your machine, it doesn't affect the VPS because it runs somewhere else in a data center that is always connected and has power redundancy and everything else.
Great. I'm going to have to do that. I'm leaving town in a few days, as you know. I should get this all set up on my VPS. And Ben, with a good question. If you have it on a VPS, you could obviously access that with any computer you want. So you only need one license because it's always running on the VPS.
Yes. That's the other thing, that if you are running on multiple machines, then the chances are you don't really want to run it simultaneously on multiple machines. Maybe you do, but in most cases, it's because you want to access it from different locations. And then a VPS is perfect because you set it up once, install it once, and every time you log in from whatever the machine is, you see the same thing. So if you're doing something and you got to go, just shut down the window and open it up somewhere else and continue working. So it's a pretty sweet
Yeah,
solution.
that's great. So JP with a good question. What if your computer shuts down, like Dorian hits you on the Florida coast, and then all of a sudden, obviously the Forex markets have no sympathy for any Dorian victims. And then all of a sudden you get power back and you start up your computer and you find that the market is above your target or below your stop that is set up in Synergy. And Synergy opens up, it's got the settings all where you left them, but the market has moved. What will Synergy do? Will it immediately close out the position if it's beyond the stop, or what?
There's two different scenarios. One is if you're not using stealth mode, the stop and the target is with the broker. So in that case, everything is fine because the broker will close them. The partial close can't trigger if there's no connection. So if you do lose connection and you do have and you're not using stealth mode, then if the stop and target is hit, then the broker will take care of that. If the connection is down for whatever reason, and Synergy can't do the partial close, the second that it comes online again, Synergy will resync the account and see, hey, what are we missing? And so if the trade is above a point where it's supposed to do partial close, Synergy will immediately do it as soon as it's able to. So that means that,
So
that
at
the
price
partial
that it
close may
sees.
happen.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
What? Your voice is fading in and out a little, but basically you're saying that it'll see that it's beyond where it should have closed it, and it'll just close it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because it doesn't know if it was down for 5 seconds or 5 minutes. It also doesn't look at, well, how much did the market move. It's if it's at or above, or if it's at or beyond the point where it should have closed, then it'll close it when it can.
Right. Okay.
And the same thing happens if the market totally tanks for some reason or flies. Trump opens his mouth and suddenly the pound falls, I don't know, off of a cliff, whatever the case may be. In those scenarios, then you may not get the exact close that you wanted, because if the market is flying, there may be a difference of a couple of pips. But those are really the only scenarios where you may not get out at the exact place you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, there has to be someone on the other side of your trade at that price point. And if it goes past that price point, you don't have anyone on the other willing to take the other side of the trade. It's going to discover the price where someone will take the other side of the trade. So luckily with Forex, it's extremely liquid, and there's always somebody, 99.9% of the time.
Yes.
Keith with a good question. Is MT4 the broker? No, Keith, MT4 is a charting platform. It's been around for many, many years. Forex traders use it all around the world, and usually a broker will give you the platform for free connected to the brokerage account. So for example, I use Owanda. And so I downloaded MT4 from the Owanda website. It's connected to my Owanda Forex account, and then I could use the MT4 charts and everything to manage my trades. But it's pretty clunky. It's very limited, thus the need for something like FX Synergy, which makes trading with MT4 a lot more feasible and palatable, so that you have the flexibility to handle your trades basically any way you want. MT4 was very limited. But it's not a broker. It's a charting platform that connects to your broker. Okay? Follow up if that's not clear. JP with a good question. Martin, I'll let you handle that one.
Yeah, certainly. So anytime you have a trade open, you can just go to the trade, right-click on it, choose, what the heck is that? Stealth, and then choose Enable, and that'll take it away. So when you go in here, there's no stop and no target. If you go back in here, we can always, at any time, right-click, Stealth, and then Disable. and then it's back on the trade. So you can certainly, if you're on the go, whatever the case may be, or if you know that Dorian is coming in 3 hours, put the stop and the target on the trade. At least you're safe, and then you can shut things down. And then when you're ready to, you can just come back and enable stealth mode again. So you can turn it on and off at any time you want.
So hopefully you guys by now can see why I have been so excited about this and why I was kind of looking forward to showing it to all of you. I would take advantage of Martin's offer and get the 2-for-1. Basically, it's 50 cents a day for the next 2 months, and you'll know right away if you're going to want it or not. And I guarantee you're going to want it, because once you start using it and then you don't use it, you're going to be like, oh my God, it's like being in the one-legged butt kicking contest and you're hopping around with one leg all the time and everyone else is cheating using 2 legs. So if you're with FX Synergy, you got 2 legs. If you're just trying to, get through the obstacle course of trading with MT4 and nothing else, you're hopping around on one leg and you're getting your butt kicked. So, I mean, that's a silly metaphor, but it really kind of paints a picture of the difference between trading with a tool like this or trying to trade without a tool like this. It's worth its weight in gold.
So Keith is asking
Martin,
about the brokers. So Keith, pretty much every broker or forex broker on the planet uses MT4 because it's been around for about 15 years, and it's pretty much the gold standard. Because one, the brokers give it to you for free, so that's at no cost to you, and secondly, it's a very customizable platform. It's one of the reasons why we can connect to it and even do Synergy in the first place. So pretty much every forex broker out there has MT4, and they give it to you for free. Oanda also has MT4 as well, so you can certainly use MT4 with Oanda. And just to clarify, Synergy works with any MT4 broker because MT4 is MT4. The only thing that the broker does, or that MetaQuest does for them, is they add the broker's logo and the broker's name to the platform, but underneath it's the exact same thing. It's just it's the same car, just a different logo on it. So MT4 is MT4. So any broker, any MT4 broker will work with Synergy, and there's over 1,000 of them.
I will say, though, that there are some European brokers, you won't see this as much in the U.S., where they literally synthesize crosses where you could trade the U.S. dollar against gold, the U.S. dollar against crude oil. You could have forex pairs that have commodities, and you don't see that much in the U.S., but overseas it's a great way to trade, and also with cyber currencies. There are some MT4 brokers where you could trade Bitcoin, for example, or some of the others, Litecoin and some others. And those are pretty cool. And if you've got a strategy like Counterpunch Trader, that's going to work on the MT4 charts. And you could literally trade cyber coins using those strategies. And believe me, they work really well, because if the price is moving, a strategy like Counterpunch Trader is going to work really, really well with that. So there's a benefit to MT4. And as far as using the broker's platform, this is Keith, your question. Yes, you can use the broker's platform, but they're usually web-based. They're very limited. You're just pushing buy and pushing sell, and that's basically it. Maybe that's all you need to do. But they have just very limited and primitive tools. And so that's why the need for a platform like MT4 and then an interface like FX Synergy is so important, because you want to be in the one-legged butt-kicking contest hopping around on one leg, or do you want to be on 2 legs? Because you're trading against traders that are on 2 legs, right? You don't want to be the guy hopping around on 1 leg. So that's a pretty stark contrast, but it kind of paints the picture of when you have the best tools versus not having the best tools, versus other traders who do have the best tools and you don't, right? I mean, just think about it. Trading is war. And if you're going to go out onto the battlefield of trading, you want to be armed with the best of the best. That's just my opinion. Most experienced traders are going to probably agree with that statement. So Ben, with a question for you, Martin. I'll let you handle that one.
And the size of our orders, the number.
Not sure if I understand that question, actually.
Give me 1 second.
Steven, I have mine minimized down all the time. It's hidden until I need it. And then I pop it up and it opens. So yeah, I have it reduced down. It doesn't have to occupy your monitor 24/7. You could reduce it into the tray and it works great.
Right.
Individual order
So,
size is small. It doesn't.
so to answer Ben's question, you won't have any issues with liquidity unless you're trading a lot of lots.
Right. Well,
Forex is the most liquid market there is, so you won't run into any issues with that. And also, um, the brokers can't see that you're using Synergy, so that doesn't affect anything in any way.
yeah, a couple things. First of all, oftentimes the broker will take the other side of your trade and they kind of have a heads up on where the market's going anyway, and they can widen the spread at their convenience, and they will do that. They're not your friend, they're your enemy. So having things in stealth mode is great because then the broker doesn't know what the heck you're doing. But as far as how it affects the market, like I love that you're thinking big. Everyone should think big like that. I'm with you all the way because you can leverage up, and as you grow your account, you grow your position size. But if you could imagine the largest position size you could ever think of taking, and then think of the Pacific Ocean, now throw a pebble in the Pacific Ocean. That's the effect that your trading is going to have. So that puts it into context, right? I mean, 1 million is a huge number. It's almost hard to fathom, although nowadays it's not that much because of the inflation. So think of 1 billion. That's a pretty big number too, right? It's hard to fathom. So now think of trillions, how big that number is. So you got an ocean, and then there's you putting on the biggest trade you could possibly think of. You've basically just thrown a pebble into the ocean. That's it. That's how you have to think of it. So why it affects the broker? Because the broker is looking at you and they're salivating. They see a T-bone steak. They look at Ben's order and they go, oh, there's our money right there. We're going to make our rent today. We're going to go pick off Ben before the market turns and goes the other way. The brokers do that, believe it or not. Now, some are very reputable, and there are some brokers that don't take the other side of your trade. They just kind of facilitate and put two traders together. Those are the best brokers. But who really knows? For me, I'm a skeptic, and I don't believe it. I don't believe them ever. So I rather them not see what I'm doing, because I've been taken out of a trade where the spread was 50 pips away. I mean, my order was 50 pips away, and they widened the spread and picked me off. And then it went right back to where the price was 50 pips away again. And it didn't even show up on the price chart. It didn't even show up on the price chart. And they nailed me. And that was on a Sunday right before the markets open. Like if you notice when the markets are just getting ready to open or barely just opened on a Sunday night, that's obviously Monday morning down in Australia, New Zealand, the spreads are still very, very wide. So you got to be careful of that. But if they don't see your order, you're probably not going to get picked off like that. Well, their pennies is relative. Yeah, they'll pick off pennies, dollars, millions of dollars. They have the ability to widen the spread, and it's always at their convenience, never at your convenience. So there you go.
So Stephen is asking about the system tray, and yes, that is also in there. So just for those of you that so if you go into Synergy and we go into Settings, and we go into the Advanced tab here, you can see here we have a lot of different settings. These are features that you can tweak and enable and go nuts with. There's a ton of things in here that you can do that I haven't even covered today at all. But one of them is down here where it says run in system tray. This is just for Stephen. So if I enable yes, close it down, you can see now it's gone from here, but now it's actually here. So if I minimize this, I don't see it, but it actually runs right here. So we also have that too. There's a ton of features, tons of features. I'll show you probably about 10% of what it can do pretty much.
Martin, you know what I need you to show me is how do I turn off the voice that says news alert, which gets me to jump out of my chair if my volume's too high by accident. News alert. News alert.
So
warning, Will
so if
Rogers.
you go into if you go into settings and go into advanced and you scroll down to where it says
alerts,
you see here it says you have a number of different settings where you can change the reminder and the impact and all that. But then here we have the actual the overall alert settings, and you can see here where it says voice alerts. If you click in here, you can just remove the check off.
we're having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, sorry, I was on the other screen. So if you go here to alerts and go to voice alerts, then just click here, and then just remove the news alert.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of different settings. So that there's a bunch of different events that can have a voice. So maybe you want to know when orders are closed, an audible alert, or maybe when you do partial close, whatever you want, you can enable that here. The news alerts are enabled by default, but just uncheck it here, and then you won't hear that.
Oh, I could just turn off audio alerts and set it to no, and then it will turn everything off?
Yeah, you can do that too. Then you won't hear anything, but there may be some of them that you want to get.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice. Good flexibility. Couple questions, Ben and Steve, about help. You see those?
What are some of the... Well, Keith, that's a very broad question. What I can tell you is that Simity can do a lot of different things, and many of the things or features can be combined into different ways of using it. So I would recommend trying it out. We have a trial on our website, so you can actually go and try it out for free before committing to anything. So you can always sign up for the trial and play around with it and see if it's something that you want to use. But it can do a ton of things, and we have videos that covers pretty much all of it. The trick is to figure out which features you want to use. That I can.
There's the website link, you guys. You can just click on that.
Yeah, we have a very short PDF manual that kind of covers the basics, and then we have a lot of videos that covers everything else in great detail. And if you have any questions, just send an email to our support team or use the form on our website, and they'll get back to you.
So when oil trade signal, what do you mean, Rafat? Not sure what Rafat's referring to. Martin, I noticed some crosses that you were showing that showed some of the cyber coins and other commodities.
I wanted to, yeah, let me show those. So actually, let me get rid of the setting of the tray, because that's great to have on a VPS, maybe. But this, I think I want to have it showing in the taskbar.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
So on Pepperstone, we have coffee and Bitcoin. We have Bitcoin and Ethereum, and so this is just one broker, the one that I've used for many, many years. And they have a ton of different symbols, many of which are forex, but about half of them are not forex. They're different indexes and gold and silver and whatever else they have. So lots of different symbols. And because they are with the broker in MC4, you can trade it with MC4, which means you can use Synergy to trade everything that they have, which is pretty cool.
So you
Now,
could
Ben is
short
asking about
Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, long, short, trading stop, stealth mode, anything you want. Because
And
Synergy,
Counterpunch works on this stuff, guys. Sorry to interrupt, but you can have Counterpunch on there that looks just like the trade we set up with the Euro Yen, only it could be on Bitcoin or Cocoa or whatever. And then you can go through the same techniques we go through with our testing and create trade plans and basically use Synergy to trade all these wonderful different markets with the ability to put on micro lots, mini lots, and really get your position size tailored down to that 2% or whatever. So, I mean, I'm probably going to open up an account on a VPS with Pepperstone now that Martin showed me that. That's pretty compelling.
yeah, so Synergy doesn't care what the symbol is. It can be anything because it reads all the different parameters for the symbol. So it doesn't care about if it's Euro USD or pound yen or whatever it is. It manages all those different symbols, but it doesn't know what it actually is. To Synergy, it's all numbers, and it does all the number crunching for you. So whatever symbols the broker has, you can use every single feature in FX Synergy on that symbol, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or oil or gold or Euro USD or whatever it is. Any symbol that the broker has in here, you can use with Synergy. So Ben was asking about EAs. So you can certainly use EAs with Synergy because Synergy can open trades for you, manage trades for you, and do a lot of other things. And EAs can also do different things. But if you have an EA, that's totally fine. That'll work perfectly fine side by side with Synergy. You can also set up Synergy to actually manage the EA trades for you. You may have an EA that places trades, and it may also do some kind of trade management, but in many cases it doesn't do it very well, or maybe not at all. Synergy can actually be set up to do partial close, trading stop, and so forth to trades that are placed by an EA, because the Synergy, it doesn't matter how the trade comes into the account. Any trade in the account can be managed by Synergy.
Yeah, hey, Jim, I'm typing because Martin was talking, but now I'll just talk. Counterpunch we know works great with time-based charts. SPT, not so sure, although with the master suite setups, I'm learning that some of those setups were working really well with time-based charts, and we know it works well with daily charts. They just don't come very often. It's more about quality versus quantity. So the only reason why we haven't developed SPT for MT4 is just because I haven't had enough time to see how well it works with time-based charts. But Martin's telling me ways we can, maybe use range bars instead, which we know works great. And could you imagine being able to sell short some of these cyber coins and being able to trade in either up or down based on setups that we get from Counterpunch or Spotlight? I mean, that would really give us a huge advantage. So seeing all these synthetic markets that you can trade with MT4 and then being able to go as small as you need to put on safe risk, there's a lot of compelling reasons to want to open up an overseas account like Pepperstone in a VPS. I mean, I'm on board with that idea. That's looking really good to me. Knowing what I know about these strategies that we're using, some of these markets really flow nicely. I mean, they really move, and if the price action's there, these strategies they love that. Going to get some great advantages. Steve says, if I launch a trade with a magic number, another EA, can FX Synergy manage the rest, trail and partial close? Steven, if you know where the close needs to be, or if you know where the trail needs to be, you could type those numbers in, like what we're doing with Counterpunch. but it's not going to be able to just follow your custom indicator. Like, it cannot follow and trail our balance line or signal line. But each day the trailer moves, and then we can just type in where the trailer should move to. So there is going to be some manual, you're going to have to be manually involved in moving those stops, but you can follow your custom indicators, and Synergy can certainly get you out when it needs to get you out. You just have to type those numbers in. Okay? It's not going to be able to just look at your chart and go, oh, there's Stephen Young's interesting looking line that I've never seen before. I think I'll trail it by 20 pips. It can't do that.
No, that's something that we're actually working on adding in the future. But cool. That's yeah, we call it the strategy builder, and it's basically a tool to support all the built-in indicators and also customing. It's we know how to do it. It just takes some time to do it. So that's coming in the future, where you'll be able to actually automate all of that as well, where you can specify, tell Synergy, well, what is the indicator called and what is the value called, and then it can open trades and close trades and move stops and do all this stuff based on that. And you can also set up rules to say, when a bar closes above this indicator or whatever the case may be. But it's pretty advanced. It's coming. It's in the pipeline, and we call this the strategy builder. So that's coming at some point. We don't have it yet, at least not officially, but it's in the shop right now. Now, to clarify on the EAs and the magic number, Synergy can take over control of trades based on magic numbers as well, because Synergy can also manage multiple accounts. Most traders have a single account, and that's totally fine. Some have more than one account for different reasons, and so you can add up to 20 different accounts to Synergy at the same time. So you can have up to 20 tabs up here, one for each of your accounts. Now you don't need to see all the tabs, because in most cases, if you have more than 2 or 3 accounts, you're probably not trading directly on all the accounts. But what you can do is you can go in here and you can set up account groups where you define a master account and then have a number of slave accounts. And when you set this up, you can also have Synergy copy based on the magic number. So whenever a trade comes into the master account with a certain magic number, it'll copy those trades only with that magic number to those slave accounts. So again, it can do a ton of things. We have a lot of different quote-unquote hidden features in the software. Let me show you a few other ones now that we're at it. So if you go into accounts, and you click this little drop down here, it opens up with a ton of different features. You can also set up a maximum risk, that is the percentage, and this is really just to prevent fat finger typo. You can say, I never want to risk more than 2%, so I would just put in 2, and then what will happen is if you ever put in more than 2, Synergy will default it to 2, so that way you can't, say you type 22 by mistake, then you can't open up more than 2% risk trades. The same with the lot size. If you never want to go beyond one lot, if you do lot-based trading, just put in what that is, and then again you can't mess up the trade by typing in too many lots by mistake. You can also do this, which is if you place a trade on your mobile device or outside of Synergy, you can say that, well, if I place a trade outside of Synergy with no stop and no target, Synergy will actually put the stop and target on for me based on the preset. And you can also do this based on a magic number. It also has a mandate, so we can say that if the account balance or if the open positions get below a certain point or above a certain point, we want to close it all. So say we have, let's say at 10% drawdown, will be minus 10. So at 10% drawdown, we just want to close everything. And then maybe at 20% profit, we want to close everything as well. So what this means is that when all the trades, all the combined open positions on this account reaches 20% profit, all of it, Some may be down, some may be up, but when the combined number is 20% or above, it'll close all the open trades on the account. And the same thing happens here with the minimum. That is for when you're really out of luck. If your drawdown is 10% or more of all the open positions combined, Synergy will close all the open positions for you. So this is another way of protecting your account. Yeah, so you can do a ton of different things. And this is just a few of them. We also have. Oh, wait. Should I show the new suspension?
Sure.
All right.
Oh, that's where you stand down for a news event.
Yeah, that's where it closes or it pulls the pending orders out of the account for you and puts them back in.
That's cool.
All right, so let me show that. Do all accounts have to be the same broker? No. So Synergy doesn't care where the account is at. So it can be any broker. You can have 20 accounts with the same broker or 20 accounts all with different brokers. Synergy doesn't care what the broker is, who owns the account, what type of account it is. It just sees an MC4 account and it's happy. So you can set it up in any way you like with any broker, any symbol that they have. Now, if the symbols are not forex, we need to go into symbols and actually add the symbol here, because anything that isn't forex are named differently between the brokers, unfortunately. So some use XAUUSD, some use gold, some use whatever they want to use. So for anything that isn't forex, you just add it in here and everything is fine. Right, so for new suspension, this is a feature that we've I think about 4 years ago or 5 years ago that we made this feature. But basically, as you know, when there's a news announcement, the markets tend to react quite heavily in some cases. And if you have pending orders, you don't want to get whipped into a trade and then you get taken out 5 seconds later. So what we can do is, I'm just going to open up a pending order. I'm just going to do a limit order. I'm just going to say it's 20 pips away from the market to show you how this works. So here we have a pending order in the account. It's not stealth or anything. It's actually in the account with the broker. But now the cool thing is I can right-click on this trade and I can choose suspend. And now the trade is still here. The ticket number says suspended. Interesting. But when we go into the account, the trade isn't there, because physically the trade doesn't exist. Can you guys still hear me?
Sorry, popped up on you.
Oh yeah, I thought that was an issue. All right, cool. So, but in Synergy, the trade is there because Synergy retains. So what it does is it basically deletes the pending order in the account, but Synergy retains all the information about the trade. So everything, the lot size, the entry, the stops, targets, partial close, everything. So it's all in Synergy. The broker doesn't have the trade, and when it's suspended, it stays that way indefinitely. So this is a very cool way of, if you want to get a pending order out of the account right now, but you may want to put it back in 5 minutes later or next week or whatever the case may be, but you want to get it out so it doesn't get filled, but you may want to use it. So you don't want to have to put all this stuff in again because it's already there. So it'll suspend the trade, take it out of the account, but retain all the information. And while it's suspended, you can edit all of this stuff, change all the settings, whatever you want to do, and then resume it whenever it's time to put the trade back in. So this is something that you can use manually to say on a Friday, you don't want to have your pending orders in the account over the weekend, but you also would like to put them back in Monday morning really fast. So this way you can just right-click, choose suspend, and you're done. And then Monday morning, or whenever you feel like you want to get the trades back in, just right-click on the trade and choose resume, and now the trade is placed, and now it's back with the broker. That's the manual way of doing it, which works fine, but we can also automate it. So if we go into settings, and we go into suspend, here we have a list of all the different symbols, forex symbols that we have in the account. Because all the news are based on currencies, so we can't really do news suspension on Litecoin. That wouldn't work. But we have all the forex symbols in here, and let's just do my favorite pair, Euro USD. So let's say that we want to do new suspension on medium and high impact announcements. We want to take the trades out of the account 15 minutes before, put it back in 15 minutes after. And then I just want to activate. Okay, that's really all we have to do there. And this we can change anytime we want to. I'm just going to do one thing to set this up to actually enable the feature. So scroll down here to where it says news, and then we want to auto suspend resume. That really enables the whole feature. We want to enable that one, and then we also want to suspend resume countdown, so that way we can see where we're at. And we have another one here that's called suspend hot orders, and that basically means that if you place an order that would normally be suspended, the order is placed, but Synergy immediately suspends it. So it is placed for a split second, and then Synergy says, hey, wait a minute, this order shouldn't be there right now, and then it takes it out, and then puts it back in again once the announcement is done. But I'm just going to enable the new suspension, and then I'm going to enable the countdown so we can see what's going on. Right? So now when I go back into here, and we go back into the pending orders, you'll notice that now it has applied the risk suspension to this trade. We have a blue bar here. That means that we have new suspension on this trade. And now there's a ticket number, so the order is in the account. So right now we have a countdown. There's a new column here with the suspend resume. And that tells us when is this order going to be suspended. So in 22 minutes, Synergy is going to automatically delete the pending order with the broker, retain all the information, and then at the same time figure out when do we resume it. And at that time, the ticket number will go away, it'll say suspended, and then the countdown will show the minutes and seconds until it'll be resumed. So it'll automatically take the pending order out and automatically put it back in again when it's time to do that. And you can also do this manually. So you can take off the trade, click on SR down here, and now we can manually go through, and if we have 10 trades, we can see all of it here. So we could manually set up for, even if there's no news announcements, you can place any pending order and just go in here and set up when you want it to be taken out of the account. So you can just say, well, I want to be taken out at Friday at 4 p.m. and put it back in Monday morning at 8 a.m. or whatever the case may be. You can do that super fast, and you can also see down here, you can set the date and time and just say set suspend, and it'll apply to all the trades, and the same with the resume. So if you have 10 pending orders, you can set the suspend time once and set the resume time once, and it'll put this on all the trades. So a super fast way to get trades in and out of the account without having to actually put them back in manually and have to go through all that work. So that was the very quick rundown of new suspension.
That's amazing.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So if you have 3 different instances, so I should have mentioned this in the beginning as well. So Synergy connects to MT4, and MT4 connects to the broker. So you need to have an MT4 running per account. So if you have 3 accounts, then you would just go into settings and go into accounts, and then you would just add them up here, give it a name, select the path, and the account number, and then Synergy is going to add all the different tools based on the path, so that when you go into that MT4, you'll see all the Synergy tools will be in that MT4 as well. You may need to right-click up here and say refresh if it's already running, but apart from that, you'll see the same tools in there. So yeah, if the MT4 is running on the same machine, just add the Synergy and everything is fine. And all the different tools that you see will also work on all the different MT4s that you run on the same machine. And I should probably show the alert lines that we didn't show before. So if I go into MT4, and let me just get rid of this line. So alert lines, very often you want to know, or at least be alerted when the market goes to a certain place. So I'm gonna add the price alerts indicator to the chart. I'm just gonna hit OK. And what that does is it'll tell Synergy to monitor this chart for the price alert lines. Now I'm going to add the chart tool as well. It's a little drawing tool that we have that also comes with Synergy. It sits up here, and we can hide it. And actually, we do the same thing with the trade panel. Let me show that. So if you go into the trade panel and we enable, where's that? hideable. If we enable hideable, then we can also hide the panel. So if you have multiple charts on your screen and the charts are super small, you can just hide the panel, and then whenever it's time to place a trade, you can show it. So that way you're not showing it all the time, only when you need it, right? And the same thing with this tool here. If you don't need it, just hide it if it's in your way. Otherwise, just have it right there. And this tool can draw things in the chart super easily. So say I want to have a dashed purple line. Click the plus, and then when I click again, it's going to show you or place that object. So it's a really cool way of very quickly drawing lines or any other object. So you can do circles, rectangles, tons of stuff. But what I want to show you was the alert lines. So I'm going to change the type to AL, that's alert line. I'm just going to do the pink one, that was kind of pretty, and I'm going to do it dashed. Okay, so hit the plus and click right there. So I'm going to go into NC4 one time, go into the properties and enable the show object descriptions, because that'll show the little A out here, and that denotes that this is an alert line. All right, I'm going to add one more. Just click the plus and click below, and now we have alert line number 2. So now we have 2 alert lines, and if I go to Synergy, and I click on the little arrow here, and I click on the monitor, it gives me a little window, kind of like the prep tool. But this window shows me the price alert monitor. And this shows me all the different symbols, all the different charts that I have the price alert indicator on that also has alert lines. So now we can see here that on Euro USD, on the 1 hour chart, we are 30 pips away. The market is 30 pips away from this line here. The market is 35 pips away from the line here. If I move the line, it'll update here in a second or two to show you how far the market is away. And if we had multiple Euro USD charts on different time frames, it would show you which time frame had the line that was the closest to the market. That's why the time frame is here. So we could have a 1 hour chart where it's close to the line on the downside. We could have a 5-minute chart where it's closer to the line on the upside. So you can have tons of different symbols in here. Just add the indicator and add the lines. And you can also have multiple lines. If you do that, Synergy will just show you how far the market is from the line that is the closest to the market. So, and then as soon as that line is hit, it'll change the color, give you an alert, and then it'll monitor the next line. So you can have lots of different alert lines, or maybe just one, whatever you want to do, and you can see it all here. And you can also have alerts sent to your mobile device, or any device really. If you go into settings, and you go into advanced, go down to, oh, I can't move that one now. If you go down to where it says alerts, you can put in your email address. You can tell Synergy when you want the alert. And if you do this with price, it'll send you an email whenever those lines are hit. And you don't need to configure email servers. We have some email servers that do that for you automatically. So just put in your email, and Synergy will send that email to you. So that way, Synergy will send you an email whenever these lines are hit. And maybe you want to run back to your screen and do something, but that's the general idea of how this works. And again, you can do multiple charts, multiple time frames, multiple lines, whatever you want to do. And it works on every single symbol that the broker has. So this will work on Bitcoin, Litecoin, oil, you name it.
That's awesome. I use alert lines all the time. So when I have a level that I want to move my stop to break even, I'll put my alert line a little bit in front of it, because nothing's perfect in trading. And if I miss my level by a fraction of a pip, or by it was 95% of the way, for example, my alert line will tell me, and then I can make the decision if I want to move my stop to break even or not. But at least I'm alerted, and it sends a text message right to my phone. So these are excellent tools, you guys. We've been at this now for about an hour and 45 minutes. I usually like to keep these to 60 to 90 minutes. Let me just put a last call for questions for Martin, and we're going to wrap this up. I'll make sure this video is available for all of you. You could review it anytime you want. I'll put it in various places. You'll be able to find it. You can always send me an email if you don't find it. It'll be on my YouTube channel, though, NetPicks Trading Desk. You guys haven't found my YouTube channel, maybe now's a good time. NetPicks Trading Desk. Other than that, I want to thank Martin for generously spending the last couple hours with us and showing us this amazing tool, an amazing piece of software. I know some of you have already jumped on board. I've received some emails already, so I want to congratulate you. I think you're going to love it. And if you're still on the fence or wondering how to get it, if you scroll up, there are some links for you. The link right up there in the chat box is a link to the website. I'll put that in there one more time. You guys want to just go read up on it. And if you want to take advantage of the 2-for-1 deal where you get 2 months for the price of one, literally it's 50 cents a day for the next 60 days. That'll give you guys a good chance to really give it a shot and see how you like it. That link is here. And then some of you have already jumped on board the annual subscription, which is by far the best deal, and it's just laughingly cheap. And there's the annual link if you guys are interested. So other than that, any last questions, guys? You got about 10 seconds to type it in, otherwise we're going to end this. And thank you for spending the last couple hours with us, Martin. I really appreciate it.
Certainly, thank you for having me. So yeah, if you guys have any last questions, put them in right now. Otherwise, we'll wrap this up. And you can always ask our support team. We have 4 full-time support staff that'll help you out. And again, if you can't find something, don't spend more than 5 minutes on it. Just ask our support team, and they can direct you to whatever video or whatever the case may be.
I like that. We're going to have to write a song. Don't spend more than 5 minutes on it. That's a good title. I like that.
Yeah, so don't, it's always nice to try and figure it out yourself, but if you can't pretty quickly, then just ask us and we'll tell you where to go look. We have a ton of videos, and it may be a little too much in the beginning to watch a ton of videos, but we know exactly where in those videos the different pieces are. So just let us know what you need if you can't find it, and we'll show you. And we can also do a follow-up to this webinar if you want. If there's anything that needs to have clarified, I'm certainly open to do that as well.
Yeah, we'll probably schedule something in the near future, Martin, with a much bigger group of people. I just wanted to get our immediate alert service subscribers on board first. Sure. So, all right, guys, thanks again. Hope you enjoyed this session, and I'll look forward to seeing you again on the next session. Bye, everyone.
All right, guys. Thank you. Bye.